You make $85,000 a year. Your coworker makes $65,000. On paper, you should be way ahead financially, right? So why does your coworker own a home, have $40,000 in savings, and seem totally stress-free about money, while you're living paycheck to paycheck, can't figure out where all your money goes, and feel like you're barely surviving despite making 30% more? Here's what nobody tells you. Your income doesn't predict your financial future. Two other numbers do. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why someone making $60,000 can retire a millionaire while someone making $150,000 retires broke. My name is Fad, and I spend way too much time thinking about why high earners end up broke while modest earners build wealth. If you're someone who makes decent money but feels like you should be further ahead financially than you actually are, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. There are two numbers that predict your financial future with scary accuracy. Not your salary, not your job title, not even your education level. The first number is your savings rate, the percentage of your income you keep. The second number is your spending velocity, how fast your lifestyle expands when your income grows. And here's what most people don't realize. These two numbers are way more predictive of financial success than income could ever be. Let me show you why. Look, your savings rate is simple math. It's what you save divided by what you earn. If you make $5,000 a month after taxes and save $500, your savings rate is 10%. If you save $1,000, it's 20. Sounds obvious, right? But here's where this gets really interesting. According to research from MIT, someone with a 20% savings rate will achieve financial independence roughly 25 years faster than someone with a 10% savings rate, regardless of how much they earn. Let me say that again. It's not about making more money. It's about the percentage you keep. Here's the math that shocks everyone. Person A makes $60,000 a year, saves 25%, $15,000 annually. Person B makes $100,000 a year, saves 10%, $10,000 annually. Person A is saving more in absolute dollars despite making $40,000 less. And because of compound growth, after 20 years at 8% returns, person A has $687,000 while person B has $458,000. The lower earner is $230,000 richer because of one number, savings rate. So here's what blows my mind. Most people obsess over increasing their income. They think the solution to money problems is making more money. But there's research from the Journal of Consumer Research that found something uncomfortable. For every $1 in income, the average American increases their spending by 90 cents. That means if you get a $10,000 raise, you're only actually getting $1,000 richer. The other $9,000 gets absorbed into lifestyle inflation so smoothly you don't even notice it happening. This is why doctors making $300,000 can be broker than teachers making $50,000. It's not about what you make, it's about the gap between what you make and what you spend. Your savings rate is literally the only number that measures that gap. The second number, spending velocity. Now, here's the second number, and this one is sneakier. Spending velocity is how quickly your lifestyle expenses increase when your income grows. Most people have never even thought about this, but it's probably the most important financial metric you've never tracked. Here's how it works. Low spending velocity. You get a $10,000 raise, your lifestyle spending increases by $2,000. Your savings capture $8,000 of that raise. High spending velocity. You get a $10,000 raise, your lifestyle spending increases by $12,000. Wait, what? Yes, you actually got broker because you upgraded your apartment, leased a nicer car, and started eating out more, convinced you could afford it now. I see this constantly. Someone gets promoted, immediately upgrades their entire life, and ends up more financially stressed than before the promotion. There's actual data on this. A study from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago tracked people who received income increases. They found that within 2 years, 65% of people who received raises or promotions had increased their debt levels, not decreased them. They made more money and ended up more in debt. That's high spending velocity destroying lives. Look, here's the brutal math that schools never teach. Scenario 1, high income, high spending velocity. Income $120,000, savings rate 8%, annual savings $9,600. Time to save $500,000, 28 years, assuming 8% returns. Scenario 2, moderate income, low spending velocity. Income $70,000, savings rate 25%, annual savings $17,500. Time to save $500,000, 16 years, assuming 8% returns. The person making $50,000 less reaches the same goal 12 years faster. 12 years of their life they get back because they controlled two numbers. That's not a small difference. That's retiring at 50 instead of 62. That's financial independence in your prime instead of when you're old. Here's what nobody wants to hear. Focusing on income is often a trap. Don't get me wrong, higher income is good, but if your spending velocity is high, more income just means you're broke at a higher level. I know people making $200,000 who are legitimately one missed paycheck away from disaster. They've got the big house, the German cars, the private school tuition, the country club membership, and they're trapped. Meanwhile, I know a couple making $65,000 combined who retired at 45. They mastered their savings rate and kept their spending velocity near zero. The difference? The high earners never ask themselves, what's my savings rate and how fast am I inflating my lifestyle? So this is going to sound harsh, but here's the psychological trap that ruins people. We're terrible at judging our financial progress based on absolute dollars. We judge it based on lifestyle comparison. You make $80,000 and save $8,000 a year. That's a 10% savings rate. But you don't feel like you're doing well because your friend just bought a house and you're still renting. So what do? You stretch to buy a house you can't quite afford. Your savings rate drops to 5%. Now you're objectively worse off financially, but you feel better because you look successful. This is called relative income comparison, and research from Cornell University shows it's one of the strongest predictors of financial failure. Here's what most people don't realize. The person who looks broke but has a 30% savings rate is infinitely wealthier than the person who looks rich but has a negative savings rate. Look, here's why these two numbers predict your financial future better than income. Savings rate tells you how long until you're financially independent, how much security you're actually building, whether you're building wealth or just looking wealthy. There's research from the National Bureau of Economic Research that tracked 10,000 people over 25 years. Want to know what they found? Income level at age 25 had almost zero correlation with net worth at age 50, but savings rate at age 25 had a correlation of 0.81. That's statistically massive. People with high savings rates early became wealthy, regardless of income. People with low savings rates stayed broke, regardless of income. Here's the formula nobody teaches you. Years to financial independence equals 1 over savings rate, roughly. If your savings rate is 10%, you need roughly 40 years to achieve financial independence. If your savings rate is 25%, you need roughly 25 years. If your savings rate is 50%, you need roughly 12 years. This is why the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, focuses obsessively on savings rate. They understand the math. A 50% savings rate means you can retire in your 30s if you start in your 20s. Most people think that's impossible, but it's not. It's about understanding what actually creates wealth.
All right, here's what you're going to do right now. Calculate your savings rate. Take last month's income after taxes. Let's say it's $5,000. How much did you save or invest? Be honest. Retirement contributions, savings accounts, investment accounts, let's say $400. Your savings rate is $400 divided by $5,000 equals 8%. Calculate your spending velocity. Look at your income 2 years ago versus now. Did it increase? By how much? Now look at your monthly spending 2 years ago versus now. By how much did that increase? If your income went up $1,000 per month, but your spending also went up $1,000 per month, your spending velocity is 100%. You captured zero wealth from that income increase. If your income went up $1,000, but your spending only went up $200, your spending velocity is 20%. You captured $800 of wealth. That's what you want. Here's something that's going to make some people uncomfortable. If your savings rate is below 15%, you're not building wealth. You're just surviving with extra steps. And if your spending velocity is above 50%, meaning more than half of every raise gets absorbed into lifestyle increases, you're on a treadmill to nowhere. The person making $50,000 with a 20% savings rate and low spending velocity will die richer than the person making $150,000 with a 5% savings rate and high spending velocity, every single time. This isn't hypothetical. This is math. Look, here's the good news. These numbers are completely under your control. To increase your savings rate, step 1, pay yourself first. Before any spending happens, move 15 to 20% of your income into savings and investments. Automate it so you never see the money. Step 2, optimize your big 3 expenses: housing, transportation, food. If these 3 categories are eating more than 50% of your after-tax income, you have no room to build wealth. Step 3, track every dollar for 1 month. Not forever, just 1 month. You'll be shocked where money disappears. To control your spending velocity, step 1, implement the lifestyle lag rule. When you get a raise, wait 6 months before increasing any recurring expenses. Bank the entire raise for 6 months. This breaks the instant gratification cycle. Step 2, save 50% of every raise forever. Make this non-negotiable. Half of every income increase goes to lifestyle improvement, half goes to wealth building. Step 3, review your recurring subscriptions and commitments quarterly. Spending velocity happens through small recurring charges that compound over time. So here's the thing that frustrates me about personal finance content. Everyone's selling you on side hustles, investing strategies, real estate, crypto, all this complex stuff. But the research is clear. 80% of wealth building comes down to 2 stupidly simple numbers that have nothing to do with being clever or finding secret strategies. Save a meaningful percentage of what you make. Don't inflate your lifestyle every time you make more. That's it. That's the whole game. A study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute found that people in the top 25% of savers, regardless of income, had a median net worth of $1.1 million by retirement. People in the bottom 25% of savers had a median net worth of $12,000. Same working years, wildly different outcomes. The only difference was the percentage they saved. Here's the paradigm shift you need to make. Stop thinking, how do I make more money? Start thinking, what's my savings rate and how do I increase it? Stop thinking, I deserve to enjoy my income. Start thinking, I deserve financial freedom more than I deserve impressive consumption. Because here's what most people don't realize. Every dollar you spend instead of save doesn't just cost you that dollar. It costs you that dollar plus all the growth that dollar would have generated over decades. That $100 dinner, at 8% returns over 30 years, that's $1,006 you just consumed. That $500 monthly car payment you didn't need, over 30 years, that's $745,000 in lost wealth. That's called opportunity cost, and nobody calculates it because it's too painful. Look, here's the uncomfortable truth. Higher income often leads to lower savings rates. There's data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that households making $100,000 to $150,000 have an average savings rate of just 9%, barely higher than households making $50,000 to $75,000, which saves 7%. Why? Because at higher incomes, the social pressure to look successful becomes overwhelming. The bigger house, the luxury car, the private schools, the expensive vacations, your lifestyle expands to match your peer group's expectations, not your actual financial goals. This is why doctors, lawyers, and tech workers feel broke. They're not broke because they don't make enough. They're broke because their spending velocity matched or exceeded their income growth. Here's what I want you to do. Forget about your income for a moment. Seriously, stop obsessing over getting that raise or promotion or side hustle income. Instead, ask yourself 2 questions. Question 1, what's my current savings rate and how do I get it to 20%? Question 2, what's my spending velocity and how do I get it below 30%? If you can hit a 20% savings rate with spending velocity below 30%, you will build wealth, period. Doesn't matter if you make $40,000 or $400,000. And here's what's wild. Those numbers are achievable at almost any income level above the poverty line. The median household income in the U.S. is $74,580. A 20% savings rate on that is $14,916 annually. Invested at 8% for 30 years, that's $1.8 million. You don't need to be rich to build wealth. You need to control two numbers. So here's why these two numbers are so predictive. If I know your savings rate and your spending velocity, I can predict your net worth in 10, 20, 30 years with shocking accuracy. I don't need to know your job, your education, your investment strategy, or anything else, just those two numbers. Someone with a 25% savings rate and 20% spending velocity, they're going to be wealthy, guaranteed. Someone with an 8% savings rate and 80% spending velocity, they're going to struggle financially their entire life, no matter how much they make. The numbers don't care about your intentions or your circumstances. They just are. Look, I get it. Everything I've said goes against what society tells you financial success looks like. We're taught that success means making more money, climbing the ladder, getting the big promotion, the six-figure salary. But here's what you need to understand. Your income is the least predictive number of your financial future. Your savings rate and spending velocity, those are the numbers that actually matter. And the beautiful thing about these numbers is that they're completely under your control. You can't always control your income, the economy, your industry, your boss, all outside your control. But you can always control what percentage of your income you keep, and you can always control how much your lifestyle inflates when your income grows. So here's what you're going to do. Calculate your savings rate right now. If it's below 15%, you have work to do. Track your spending velocity over the last 2 years. If more than half of your income increases went to lifestyle expansion, you're on the wrong path. Then make a plan to fix both numbers, not someday, now. Because here's the truth. The person making $60,000 with a 25% savings rate is building a better financial future than the person making $150,000 with a 10% savings rate. The numbers don't lie, and they predict your future with scary accuracy. If this changed how you think about income and savings, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment with your current savings rate. I want to see where everyone's at. And check out my video on lifestyle inflation, linked below, because that's the next step in mastering your financial future. Thanks for watching. Now go calculate your two numbers. The truth might surprise you.